They laughed at him when he said he was changing his life. Not because he was weak, but because they had heard it before. He had made promises before. I'll wake up early. I'll stop wasting time. I'll stay focused. But every time comfort called, he answered. Every time life became difficult, he escaped into distractions. Until one morning, something changed. He looked at himself in the mirror and realized the enemy was never the world. The enemy was the version of himself that kept choosing comfort over growth. And that is where self-discipline begins. Not with motivation. Not with inspiration. But with a decision. A silent decision that says, no matter how I feel, I will do what must be done. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most powerful Stoic lessons ever taught, how to build self-discipline. If you want to become mentally strong, emotionally controlled, and impossible to distract, stay until the end because this video may completely change how you see yourself. And if you believe discipline creates freedom, subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who needs it, and comment below, I control myself. Now let's begin. Self-discipline is not punishment. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline means suffering every second. They think it means becoming cold, robotic, or emotionless. But the Stoics saw discipline differently. To them, discipline was self-respect. It was the ability to control your mind instead of allowing your mind to control you. Imagine a man standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is screaming. The rain is crashing against him. Everyone around him is panicking. But he stands calm. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen the mind. Cold mornings train your consistency. Criticism trains your emotional control. Failure trains your resilience. This is why disciplined people become dangerous. Because they stop fearing difficulty. Most people run from hard things. Disciplined people walk directly into them. Not because they enjoy pain. But because they understand pain builds strength. There was a young man addicted to distractions. Every day he promised himself he would focus. Every day he failed. Hours disappeared into entertainment, gossip, and meaningless habits. One evening, his grandfather sat beside him quietly and said, "You are slowly becoming a servant to your impulses." The words hit him deeply. A servant to impulses. That is exactly what happens without discipline. Your cravings control you. Your emotions control you. Your habits control you. But Stoicism teaches freedom through self-control. Real freedom is not doing whatever you want. Real freedom is controlling yourself enough to do what matters. That changes everything. Because without discipline, talent means nothing. There are talented people who destroy their own future through laziness. There are intelligent people trapped by bad habits. There are gifted people who never become great because they lack consistency. Discipline is what turns potential into reality. And here is the truth nobody likes hearing. Small actions matter more than giant intentions. You do not become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined through tiny daily victories. Making your bed. Waking up on time. Finishing what you start. Keeping promises to yourself. Small actions shape identity. Imagine a man trying to lift a massive stone. At first, he struggles. The stone barely moves. But every day he returns. Every day he pushes again. Weeks later his body changes. Months later his strength grows. Eventually, he moves the stone. Not because the stone became lighter. But because he became stronger. That is discipline. You train yourself gradually. And the beautiful thing is this. Every disciplined action builds confidence. Because confidence is not built by talking. It is built by proof. When you consistently do difficult things, your mind begins to trust you. You stop doubting yourself because your actions become evidence. A Stoic warrior once said, "The man who conquers himself is greater than the man who conquers armies." Think about that deeply. Many people appear successful on the outside while losing control inside. They cannot control anger. They cannot control distractions. They cannot control addictions. But the Stoics believed self-mastery is the highest victory. And it starts with controlling your mind. One of the fastest ways to build discipline is learning to delay pleasure. Modern life trains people to seek instant gratification. Instant entertainment. Instant food. Instant validation. Instant pleasure. But discipline requires patience. A boy once watched a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal entered the fire again and again. Each time it returned stronger. The boy asked, "Why do you keep burning the metal?" The blacksmith answered, "Because weak metal cannot become a strong sword." The same is true for people. Comfort keeps you weak. Pressure reveals your strength. Every time you resist temptation, your mind becomes stronger. Every time you choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure, you sharpen your character. And this is why disciplined people often seem calm. Because they are no longer controlled by impulses. Imagine two men being insulted. The first reacts immediately with anger. The second stays calm and walks away. Who is stronger? The Stoics would say the second man. Because reacting emotionally is easy. Self-control is difficult. Discipline is emotional mastery. It is the ability to remain calm when others lose control. That is true strength. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, taught that external events are not the real problem. The real problem is how we respond. A traffic jam is not suffering until anger enters your mind. Criticism is not suffering until ego takes control. Failure is not destruction until you decide to quit. Disciplined people train their responses. They pause before reacting. They think before speaking. They stay focused under pressure. And this level of control creates peace. Many people think discipline makes life harder. Actually, lack of discipline makes life harder. Without discipline, finances collapse. Health declines. Dreams disappear. Regret grows. Discipline may feel difficult today, but regret is far more painful tomorrow. A man in his 60s once sat alone in a park watching younger people run past him. Tears filled his eyes. Not because he was old, but because he remembered all the years he wasted. Years of excuses. Years of delay. Years of waiting for the perfect time. He whispered to himself, "I had dreams once." That sentence is heartbreaking. Do not become someone who once had dreams. Discipline protects your future. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves that time is limited. Every day matters. Every hour matters. One day your life will end. And when that day comes, excuses will no longer matter. Only your actions will. That realization should not scare you. It should awaken you. Because you still have time right now. You still have mornings ahead of you. You still have opportunities. You still have choices. And every choice either strengthens you or weakens you. One powerful Stoic practice is voluntary discomfort. This means intentionally doing difficult things even when easier options exist. Taking cold showers. Waking up early. Training when tired. Spending time alone without distractions. Why? Because comfort addiction weakens the mind. The Stoics trained themselves to handle discomfort so life could not easily break them. A wealthy philosopher once slept on the floor for several nights despite owning a comfortable bed. Someone asked him why. He answered, "I am teaching myself that I can survive discomfort." That mindset creates fearlessness. When you know you can survive hardship, you stop fearing it. And fear loses control over your life. Another secret of discipline is removing temptation. Many people think strong people simply resist distractions better. Not always. Disciplined people often design environments that support focus. If your phone constantly distracts you, put it away. If certain people destroy your focus, limit access to them. If your environment encourages laziness, change it. Self-discipline is not only mental. It is strategic. A man trying to quit unhealthy habits kept failing repeatedly. Finally, he removed every distraction from his room. No television. No junk food. No unnecessary noise. Within months his life transformed. Sometimes discipline is less about fighting temptation and more about creating distance from it. The Stoics also valued silence. Why? Because silence strengthens awareness. Most people constantly seek noise because silence forces them to face themselves. But disciplined people learn to sit alone with their thoughts. That is where clarity appears. That is where self-awareness grows. A warrior preparing for battle once spent hours sitting quietly beside a river. Someone mocked him and said, "Why waste time sitting there?" The warrior replied, "Because a noisy mind cannot make wise decisions. Silence sharpens the mind. And a sharp mind creates disciplined actions." Another important truth. Discipline is easier when connected to purpose. If your goals are weak, your discipline will collapse easily. But when your reason becomes powerful, your endurance increases. A mother works tirelessly for her children because love gives her strength. An athlete trains relentlessly because the dream matters deeply. A man rebuilds his life because he refuses to remain broken. Purpose fuels discipline. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? What kind of person do you want to be? Because every disciplined action is shaping that future version of you. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Would that future version thank you, or blame you? That question can change your life. The Stoics believed character is built daily. Not through giant moments, but through repeated choices. One honest decision at a time. One disciplined morning at a time. One focused action at a time. Eventually, those choices create transformation. There is a story about a sculptor working on a massive block of stone. A man walked past him every day and noticed almost no visible progress. Then one day the stone became a beautiful statue. The man asked, "How did you create this masterpiece overnight?" The sculptor laughed and said, "It was not overnight. You just did not notice the small daily changes." That is how self-discipline works. Transformation often feels invisible in the beginning. But if you continue, eventually everyone sees the results. Including you. There will be days you fail. Days you oversleep. Days you lose focus. Days you feel weak. That does not make you a failure. The Stoics never expected perfection. They expected persistence. A disciplined person is not someone who never falls. A disciplined person is someone who keeps standing back up. That difference matters. Because many people quit after one mistake. They eat unhealthy once and give up completely. They miss one workout and stop training. They fail once and abandon their goals. But growth requires resilience. A child learning to walk falls many times before succeeding. Imagine if that child quit after the first fall. Failure is part of learning. The key is returning quickly. Returning to the path. Returning to the habit. Returning to discipline. And every return makes you stronger. One day, people will notice something different about you. Your calmness. Your focus. Your consistency. They will think you changed suddenly. But you will know the truth. It was built quietly. Day after day. Choice after choice. That is the Stoic way. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just powerful consistency. And eventually, that consistency creates a life most people only dream about. A peaceful mind. A strong body. Clear purpose. Emotional control. Unshakable confidence. All built through discipline. So starting today, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. The perfect time does not exist. Start now. Wake up earlier. Control your mind. Finish what you start. Face discomfort willingly. Keep promises to yourself. Because every disciplined action is a vote for the person you want to become. And remember this. Your future is watching your daily habits. Every action matters. Every choice matters. Every moment matters. The Stoics understood that greatness is not built in comfort. It is built through repeated acts of self-control. So the next time your mind tells you to quit, stay. The next time distractions pull at your attention, focus. The next time life becomes difficult, stand firm. Because discipline is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming stronger than your excuses. And once you begin mastering yourself, something incredible happens. Life stops feeling chaotic. You no longer wake up confused about what to do. You no longer waste hours arguing with your own mind. You stop depending on motivation like a weak battery that dies every few hours. Instead, you become steady. Like a mountain. Storms come, but the mountain remains. People criticize you, but you remain focused. Temptations appear, but you stay in control. That kind of inner stability is rare today. Most people are emotionally controlled by everything around them. A notification changes their mood. A bad comment ruins their day. One small failure destroys their confidence. But Stoicism teaches something different. It teaches that peace comes from ruling yourself. There was once a young archer training under an old master. Every day the student asked the same question. How can I become unbeatable? The master never answered directly. Instead, he made the student practice the same basic movement again and again. Pull. Aim. Release. For months the student became frustrated. He wanted advanced secrets. He wanted shortcuts. He wanted quick results. Finally, he exploded with anger. Why do you keep making me repeat the same thing? The old master looked at him calmly and said, because greatness is hidden inside repetition. That is a lesson most people never understand. Self-discipline is not built through giant moments of inspiration. It is built through repetition. The repeated decision to wake up. The repeated decision to focus. The repeated decision to continue when nobody is watching. That is why disciplined people eventually separate themselves from the crowd. Because while others stop when things become boring, difficult, or uncomfortable, they continue. And consistency always defeats intensity. Anyone can work hard for one day. Few people can stay committed for years. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed excellence is not an act. It is a habit. Imagine two men planting seeds. The first man plants seeds passionately for 3 days, then quits. The second plants seeds quietly every day for years. Who will eventually build the larger garden? The answer is obvious. Life rewards consistency. A writer becomes great by writing daily. A fighter becomes skilled by training daily. A peaceful mind is built through daily control of thoughts. Everything compounds. Even your thoughts. If you constantly tell yourself weak things, your mind becomes weak. I can't do it. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. Those thoughts slowly become chains. But disciplined people speak differently to themselves. I will continue. I can handle discomfort. I control my choices. The Stoics were extremely careful about inner dialogue because they understood one truth. Your mind is always listening. A man once carried 2 wolves inside him. One wolf represented discipline, courage, patience, and strength. The other represented laziness, anger, fear, and excuses. Someone asked him, which wolf becomes stronger? He answered, the one I feed every day. That is exactly how discipline works. Every action feeds a version of you. Every time you choose focus, you feed strength. Every time you choose excuses, you feed weakness. And eventually, one side becomes dominant. This is why your daily routines matter so much. The first hour of your morning can shape the entire day. If you begin your morning with distractions, laziness, and chaos, your mind becomes scattered. But if you begin with discipline, your mind becomes sharp. Many Stoics valued mornings deeply. Before the world became noisy, they spent time preparing their minds. Reflecting. Planning. Training themselves mentally for the day ahead. A soldier once asked his commander why he woke before sunrise every morning. The commander answered, because if I cannot defeat my bed, how will I defeat life? That line stayed with the soldier forever. And honestly, it is powerful. The small battles matter. Getting out of bed matters. Keeping your word matters. Finishing difficult tasks matters. Because self-respect grows through action. Every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen trust in yourself. And once you trust yourself, confidence becomes natural. That is real confidence. Not loud talking. Not fake arrogance. Not pretending to be strong. Real confidence is quiet. It comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. A disciplined person does not need constant validation from others because their proof comes from their actions. That is why Stoics valued silence over showing off. Today many people announce every goal before achieving anything. They talk about success more than they work for it. But disciplined people move differently. They work quietly. They improve privately. They let results speak later. A man spent years learning martial arts under a strict teacher. One day, after intense training, he finally asked, when will people recognize my strength? The teacher replied, the moment you stop needing recognition. That answer reveals deep wisdom. True discipline is not about impressing others. It is about becoming stronger within yourself. Because external praise can disappear at any moment. People may support you today and ignore you tomorrow. But inner discipline stays with you forever. And this is important because life will eventually test you. Not maybe. Certainly. There will be moments when everything feels heavy. Moments where your plans fail. Moments where people betray you. Moments where you feel emotionally exhausted. And in those moments, discipline becomes your anchor. A ship without an anchor gets destroyed during storms. A mind without discipline gets destroyed during hardship. The Stoics prepared themselves mentally for difficult times before they arrived. Not because they were pessimistic. But because they were realistic. They knew life contains suffering. But they also knew suffering can either destroy you or strengthen you. The difference depends on your mindset. There was a prisoner who survived years of hardship under terrible conditions. When people later asked how he endured it mentally, he answered, I focused only on what I could control. That is pure Stoicism. You cannot always control situations. But you can control your response. You can control your effort. Your mindset. Your discipline. And that gives you power even during chaos. One dangerous habit that destroys discipline is overthinking. Many people spend so much time thinking about action that they never act at all. They wait for certainty. They wait for perfect timing. They wait to feel ready. But disciplined people understand action creates clarity. A man standing at the edge of cold water kept hesitating. He kept thinking about how uncomfortable it would feel. Finally, an older man walked past him and said, the water does not become warmer through thinking. Sometimes you simply have to move. Start the workout. Start the project. Start the change. Because action destroys fear faster than overthinking ever will. Another Stoic principle is accepting responsibility. This is difficult for many people because blaming others feels easier. Blaming circumstances. Blaming parents. Blaming society. Blaming bad luck. But discipline begins the moment excuses end. A young man once complained constantly about his life. Nothing was ever his fault. One day his mentor handed him a mirror and said, "This is where your power begins." That moment changed him forever. Because responsibility is not punishment. It is power. The moment you take responsibility for your habits, your mindset, and your future, you regain control over your life. And disciplined people never waste energy complaining endlessly. They focus on solutions. Complaining changes nothing. Action changes everything. The Stoics also believed in controlling desires. Not every desire deserves obedience. Just because you want something does not mean you should follow it. This applies to anger, laziness, impulse spending, revenge, addictions. A horse without control becomes dangerous. And a mind without control becomes destructive. One emperor had unlimited wealth, power, and pleasure available to him every day. Yet he still practiced restraint. Why? Because he understood a powerful truth. If you cannot deny yourself small pleasures, larger temptations will eventually control you. Discipline strengthens restraint. And restraint protects your future. Many people destroy years of progress through one moment of weakness. One emotional decision. One uncontrolled habit. One impulsive action. That is why self-control matters so much. And here is something important most people overlook. Your environment influences your discipline. If everyone around you is lazy, negative, and distracted, staying disciplined becomes harder. The Stoics were careful about who they surrounded themselves with. Because energy spreads. Spend enough time around complainers and you begin complaining. Spend enough time around focused people and your standards rise. A young boy once walked daily with two different groups of friends. One group wasted time gossiping and mocking others. The other practiced skills, trained hard, and discussed goals. Years later, their lives looked completely different. Environment matters. Protect your mind carefully. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some people drain ambition. Some normalize weakness. Some tempt you back into old habits. Disciplined people learn when to walk alone. And sometimes solitude becomes necessary for growth. The Stoics never feared being alone because solitude gave them clarity. A distracted mind rarely discovers purpose. But silence reveals truth. One philosopher spent hours walking quietly through nature every evening. Someone asked why he spent so much time alone. He smiled and answered, "I cannot hear my soul when the world is too loud." That line is deep. Many people are disconnected from themselves because their lives are filled with endless noise. Constant entertainment. Constant scrolling. Constant distraction. But discipline requires awareness. You must notice your patterns before changing them. Notice what weakens you. Notice what strengthens you. Notice where your time disappears. Because time is your life. And disciplined people respect time deeply. A wealthy businessman once lost a huge amount of money and stayed calm. Someone asked him why he was not panicking. He answered, "Money can return. Time cannot. That is wisdom. You can recover from failure. You can rebuild finances. You can restart goals. But wasted years never return." That is why the Stoics constantly reflected on mortality. Not to become depressed, but to become intentional. When you remember life is temporary, distractions lose some of their power. Petty arguments seem smaller. Meaningless entertainment feels less important. Your priorities become clearer. You stop living carelessly. And discipline becomes easier when your life has urgency. Imagine waking up every day understanding that your time is limited. Would you still waste hours avoiding your dreams? Would you still delay becoming who you know you could become? Probably not. A warrior once carried a small reminder in his pocket every day. It simply said, "One day you will die." Not because he feared death, but because he wanted to live fully while he still could. That is Stoic discipline. Living intentionally. Choosing growth over comfort. Choosing purpose over distraction. Choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. And slowly, this changes your entire identity. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop seeing yourself as lazy. You stop seeing yourself as someone controlled by emotions. Instead, you become reliable. Focused. Calm. Resilient. The kind of person who keeps going no matter what happens. And honestly, that is rare today. Most people surrender too quickly. The moment life becomes uncomfortable, they quit. But disciplined people understand something powerful. Temporary pain creates permanent growth. A man training for a marathon ran every morning before sunrise. Rainy mornings. Cold mornings. Exhausting mornings. Someone finally asked him, "How do you stay so committed?" He answered, "Because I suffer now so I don't suffer later." That sentence holds truth. Discipline may feel painful in the present. But regret is painful for a lifetime. So choose your pain wisely. The pain of training, or the pain of weakness. The pain of focus, or the pain of wasted potential. The pain of discipline, or the pain of regret. Every person chooses one. And deep down, you already know which path leads to peace. So from this moment forward, stop underestimating yourself. You are capable of more than your excuses claim. There is strength inside you that comfort has been hiding. Wake it up. Build routines. Train your mind. Control your emotions. Keep promises to yourself. Even when nobody applauds you. Even when progress feels slow. Even when the world distracts you. Because one day, your discipline will become your freedom. And the life you once dreamed about will become your reality. If this video inspired you, subscribe to the channel for more powerful Stoic wisdom. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below, "Discipline is my power." Remember, your habits create your future.